All right, so Jacob recommended a movie. Let's talk about it. Go ahead, Jacob.
All right. So I recommended Babette's Feast, directed by Gabriel Axel from 1987. It is a Danish film about a French housekeeper,
Danish.
and she has a sort of mysterious past, and she brings quiet revolution in the form of one exquisite meal to a circle of starkly pious villagers in late 19th century Denmark. And I think one important thing to note about the film is it's all shot. The movie is set on a island, almost kind of like the Bergman Island, to be honest, a little bit. All the villagers are very conservative, I guess, and they have not experienced like normal civilization, I guess you could say, and they're very religious. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
I guess the plot synopsis.
Kind of frozen in time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Babette's Feast. It's a amazing movie. I loved it. It visually, it's just amazing. Like visually, one of the best films I've ever seen. Like I could just look at it, like you just are feasting in the visuals. Like I can just look at it and it just looks beautiful, you know? Like the use of like draining color until like the feast sequence. I just thought that was a great choice.
Hmm.
The cinematography, atmosphere, it's mesmerizing, to be honest. And that's, I guess, what I would say about the visuals. The acting is great. I'd say it has a pretty compelling story too, and it has a lot of very interesting themes that are very well explored. And it's not like a
Hmm.
very dark film. Like it doesn't utilize a lot of dark techniques, I guess, to portray its themes. Like it's a very positive film, and it has like I guess, a positive outlook on the
Hmm.
world, which I thought was mm, just, I guess, fresh to see. Like I feel like a lot of great movies are just, they can be depressing, and this is just like a great film, but it's also very positive, and it really just shows like the beauty of food, people, relationships, and it really at its center is about community. And yeah, it's just a very beautiful film, and I was very moved by it.
All right. Babette's Gastibud was a good movie. um, I did not love it at first. I think it took time, but I can safely say that I do kind of love this movie. Mainly because you're right, Jacob. It isn't trying to use some like dark event or some horrible tragedy to communicate its themes. Even its tragic moments are kind of layered with like a symbol of hope almost. There's like a little bit of like not positivity. I don't know if I go that far, but they're kind of like like hey, life isn't over. This just happens. It's a normal thing. It doesn't demonize sadness, and I really like that because there are a lot of movies out there that kind of treat grief as like a terrible thing that every human has to eventually go through, and I've never understood that because grief, yes, while terrible, is is a component to our evolution of character. It how we take care of grief and how we deal with tragedy is how we grow as human beings. And I'm really glad that this movie tackled that aspect because it really did help me appreciate the movie later upon contemplation. It's very warm also, like not only in visuals, but like it feels like a
Yeah.
very like welcoming movie. Almost like
Yes.
exactly like a feast. It is kind of like a feast of visuals, but it's also just a feast of themes and a feast of conversation. It's just a really it's a really rich film in detail. There's a lot of like different flavors. There's a lot that I can get out of it now than what I probably did at first. Because again, you know me, like I was not into this movie at first, or not as much. I kind of gave it like I was kind of being a little generous, but now I'm like, no, I think that this movie's pretty fucking great. I don't know how to describe it. I really just was able to get so much more after it. It was like eating a meal that you weren't prepared for, so you don't know if you like it. But then later you're like, huh, actually I want to try that again. That was actually pretty good upon thinking about it. Which again is
Right.
sort of fitting to not only the title but also the themes of the movie. I found the girl who played Babette to be pretty great, or sorry, the woman who played Babette to be pretty great. Stefan Audran, I think her name is. I also really liked Lovenhelm, the guy who, or Lovenheim, is his name. I don't know, by Kuhl, Jarl Kule, Jarl Kuhl. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce Danish names. So, if anybody
Yeah.
Danish is watching, feel free to crucify me because I suck at this shit. Um, yeah, he was great in the movie, and he's also apparently in a lot of Bergman movies. He's apparently in Fanny and Alexander and
Yep, he is.
Smiles of a Summer Night. Like he's in
Hmm.
a lot of these actors. I think are in some Bergman stuff. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Just him. Apparently, I did not realize this until later, but apparently Stefan Audran is actually in Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, which I saw relatively recently. She plays, I think she plays one of the dinner guests, or yeah, it was really really interesting seeing that happen. Overall, I think the film was incredibly surprising. Again, I didn't feel it at first, but now, upon contemplation and upon like just hearing you guys, I'm willing to say that I really did love this movie, and I'd like to see it again. I'm not gonna say that like I definitely think it's like a damn near masterpiece just yet. I do want to watch it again, see if it really does hold up. But I think right now I'm comfortable saying that I'm glad that I saw it, and I'm really glad that you got me to watch it, Jacob. It was a very
Yeah.
pleasant surprise, and it kind of feels like a Bergman movie if Bergman weren't so depressing.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy Bergman, like whatever. Yeah, I'll just move on to whoever's next. I think it's
Seth.
Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but let's face it, it was a good movie. It was definitely a nice change of scenery to have something that wasn't so bleak in the recommendation pool.
Literally.
Yeah, and it felt like a nice it felt like a little bit of a warm hug in areas, especially the feast. That was such a great moment. Definitely what was like that scene was definitely what made my score what it was at the end of the day. But like I really, really struggled with the first hour. Like all of the characters just felt really flat to me. There wasn't any character that I cared about. There was like obviously there was Babette because like she's the main character. She wants everyone to embrace her culture and try something new because it's obviously a very, like you said, a very conservative area. I feel like the backstories and like the flashbacks weren't enough to just they didn't feel enough, and they didn't feel. I don't know. I didn't really buy any of it. It kind of. It didn't. I felt like the length of just the pacing in general wasn't really justified. I struggled with almost every single character. I didn't really see barely any significance in the vocal coach. I forgot his name. And that
Oh,
scene,
right.
scene in itself just kind of just threw me off.
Right.
But like you said, it's absolutely stunning visually. It's there were like some certain shots in the scene, like in the movie, that were like screenshot moments. They were beautiful.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I did like it, and I'm glad I watched it because it definitely felt like something I needed. It was a breath of fresh air, and it was nice to see. It was nice to see something more cultural. Like, and I like to see stuff that like crosses cultures, like stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it was just a bit too slow. There wasn't enough character building in it. But it was definitely an experience, and I want to put in there that I do kind of struggle a little bit with films that are set in like the 1800s, like shit like that. I guess you could say shit like Byland, and that's an exception. But for some reason, Babette's Feast kind of I struggled a lot with like the narration and like just the tone of the dialogue. But overall, I did enjoy it. It was a nice it was a good hour and an hour and 40 minutes of my life. It was a nice, enjoyable experience, but I didn't really get too much out of it. That's all.
All right. So I also just want to reiterate what other people have been saying, that I thought it was nice and refreshing to have just a really quaint, comforting movie. This movie is very much like a warm blanket. I thought it was exactly what I needed at that point. It was just really nice to just sit down and enjoy and just sort of partake in the way that the movie handles its tone, the way that it's very, I'd say, aside from the weird psychedelic dream sequence, the movie is just very laid back, and it's very it's kind of like a good version of Footloose, like in terms of
That's honestly kind of accurate.
in terms of how it implements its themes and its ideas. And I
If
do
this movie
really
had
like
Kevin Bacon. I
Oh,
mean,
yes, that was it. I would have given it a 10 out of 10. But yeah, I'd say, I don't know. Maybe if I just preferred something a little bit more challenging, but at the same time, there's just something that I really like about just a really solid movie with a good script that just really just talks about its themes really well and has very consistent characterization. And there's always a place in my heart for movies like that, which is why I do appreciate this film a lot. And yeah,
I don't
I
want
mean,
to. I don't. Oh, sorry. Go. Keep going.
yeah,
I thought you were
just
finished.
just to like top off is just like, I think maybe if it had delved a little bit more into like some darker psyche of some sorts, but at the same time I feel that might have been too conflicting with the rest of the tone of the movie. So I appreciate that they kept consistency with it, you know?
I was just gonna briefly say that this movie, the way that you described it, it reminded me a lot of not only does this movie remind me a lot of this movie, but I was kind of like going back and forth on which one I actually enjoy more. But I was reminded a lot of My Dinner with Andre while watching this movie.
True.
Just a movie that's literally focused on not trying to be something so difficult and so challenging. It's just about people just conversating, just having a conversation about their beliefs and the themes of the movie. It's not about like some grand revelation between characters. It's not about some huge giant character arc, because it's not really supposed to be. It's just about people who are just kind of like in this scenario, and they're just talking, about either said scenario or things about their life and their past and things that they're struggling with. And it's like, I don't know. I think that movies like that really do have a special place in my heart, because after recently watching My Dinner with Andre and seeing the similarities, it's like it's giving me more appreciation for both films, because there aren't many like it. They kind of do stand out on their own. And I'm sorry,
Right.
I didn't mean to ramble, but I just wanted to bring that up because like they just feel really similar to me. I don't know which one I like more, but they're also both kind of different, so I can't really choose. But they're both really good movies.
I would agree with that.
A good example of a film like that is Coffee and Cigarettes by Jim Jarmusch.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
yes.
too. That was another great movie. I enjoyed that a lot.
That's a good comparison. No, yeah, that was pretty much all I wanted to say. I just thought it was a very good movie, and it was well made and well put together. I think if you're going to go for like a comfort movie, you need to revolve it around food, because food is just very comforting to a lot of people.
Yeah,
And I think that's a good
True.
like connotation to add with that. I think people connect a lot with food. People share stuff over a meal. Like, you think like all of that type of stuff. It's so integrated with like comfort culture.
All right. Yeah, what else can I say about this? I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was pretty great. I can understand what Seth is saying by, him not being able to connect to like the first, like half of it, I guess, before they have the actual dinner scene. Because like on my first watch, it was a little bit hard for me to connect to too. It's a lot of, I guess, exposition and narration, and they just give you these characters like one after another, and it's like so much information in almost a little bit of time, I guess, because for me the pacing did kind of flow well in a sense that it's not too fast, but it's also not like it very slow. But for me at least,
yeah, it's
on
not
the first
like glacial
watch,
pace,
yeah. On the first watch, for me at least, it was a little bit hard for me to connect to like what the central themes were. But after the dinner scene and the ending, I realized that that's not really the point of those scenes. The point of those scenes were to not establish those characters per se, but to establish like the sense of community between these people and like how, I guess,
Exactly.
people's emotions
Yeah.
flow
And
from
how they
one.
communicate with outsiders, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
The entire community as one thing is a character all on its own.
Yeah, that's
That's- yeah.
pretty much the central idea between all of these people. It's like their emotions flowing onto each other and trying to, I guess, establish it establishes a narrative that, you know, you guys have said it's pretty comforting and it's pretty warm, and like you feel every sense of the atmosphere. You feel like the cracklings of a furnace, or like every slice into, you know, a turtle. Oops. But regarding turtles, all of the food looked really great, despite like this movie's like what, set in the 1800s. Like all of this food looks so timeless and so
Right.
elegant and so modern. It's like,
Yeah.
this is like
Besides the
Babette
food that they were making before Babette came.
yeah.
Dude, like
Yeah,
cuddling up with
exactly.
some soup sounds fucking awesome right now. It's like, that's fucking timeless.
Yeah, and for the most part, I got that it's a film about expressing yourself through your art form and expressing that love onto other people and like sharing the most you can with your work and impacting other people's
Right.
lives. It's set up in a way where these people aren't sure about Babette or sure about, I guess, themselves or their community. And at the end, they
Right.
realize that there is some sort of
And
unison
anything
to be
that's,
had there.
you know,
Mhm.
yeah. The community seems very nervous about anything outside of the normal for them, or
Yeah,
outside of their
exactly.
own community. Like when
Yeah, they
anyone
fear
comes,
change.
like when anyone comes, there's this sort of like fear I feel like they all have with like what's gonna happen and like change and like, and I feel like that's
Yeah.
very true with like even a lot of people, maybe not to the extent in the film, but like it can be relatable to many
Oh, yeah.
people, like people who are feel fearful of like change and stuff. I feel like that I kind of
Mhm.
connected with that.
Yeah, it's like, it's a timeless message, you know. It could be applied to today's standards where people are afraid of systemic change or like people coming in
Oh,
from
yeah.
other places and stuff like that. It's like there's so much you can,
It does feel kind of relevant today, yeah.
yeah, and it's
It
a
does,
beautiful
yeah.
film about, you know, just life in general. That's what I really loved about it. The performances are pretty good, pretty great. Especially Babette, she was the clear standout. She was just pretty
yeah, yeah.
flawless in her character.
True.
Cinematography, as you guys have said, is like pretty amazing. Like there's no half-assed job. There's no rushed. All of the lighting, I'm guessing, was natural, and
It seems so,
for the
yeah.
most part, it's
Kind of
just
reminded
so
me of Barry
flawless.
Lyndon at points, you know?
Yeah,
did.
exactly. Just in terms of how it's staged, you know, it's all just very locked down shots and very static images, but it works for what it is. It's like there's not much movement in the camera from what I remember. Yeah, it all works. So what do you guys think of the turtle? Most
No, I was
wild
gonna
sequence.
say that I don't mind the turtle at all. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Me neither.
but yeah,
Yeah, me
no,
neither.
it's obviously it sucks, but okay, excuse me. How many movies have we forgiven for actual animal murder?
None.
Yeah.
Literally none.
Fucking Tarkovsky shot a horse in the neck in Andrei Rublev, and you don't see me complaining about that shit. Fucking
He did?
John Waters killed a chicken in fucking Pink Flamingos.
That's
Oh,
so
damn.
fucked up, dude.
Dude, fucking Godard killed a pig in Weekend. Like, dude, it doesn't.
yeah, that's
fucking,
true.
like, it's not a
Doesn't
huge
justify it.
deal.
It's a
Like,
huge.
fucking, like, I get it. It's not a good, like, animal abuse is a bad thing, but at least people like own it. Like, if you're gonna do it, fucking own it. Like, don't do this fucking Bellatar bullshit where you fucking lie about.
Oh
hurting a
yeah,
cat.
Bellatar.
Like,
yeah,
fuck
that's
that shit.
sus.
Like,
Yeah.
own up to your fucking shit. Like, I don't know. I've never had a huge problem with animals being hurt on film. I mean,
because you're a
sometimes I do.
psychopath.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. Just sometimes it doesn't bother me as much as child molestation in film. Like,
Oh my god,
I
bro.
don't know. No, I'm saying that it doesn't bother me as much. I don't know. I have a problem with watching pedophilia on screen. Like, I do. But for some reason, fucking animal
Doesn't
abuse
anyone?
doesn't. That's my point. I'm saying it just doesn't hit me as hard. So it's like, I don't know. I can forgive this movie because I've forgiven better movies for worse. It's like, I don't know. If you're just gonna pick out like certain movies that hurt animals, but then forgive others for doing the same thing, it's just like I don't know. Like fucking if you're gonna like practice what you preach. If you're gonna like get mad at this movie, get mad at every movie that's ever abused an animal.
I'm not
You
mad
know?
at the movie. Like, it's turtle is just
Like-
fucked. You don't go there.
Like I can't like I'm not gonna say that I worded my argument very well. That was kind of shitty. I kind of sucked at that. But I'm like, I don't know. What I'm saying is that I can't find it in my heart to forgive certain movies for animal abuse and then get mad at other movies for doing that. Because it's like if I do that, then how's that fair? Because they could pull the argument that they're just doing it for the art,
No,
when
it could
in
be
reality,
it could be the way that it's done. I mean, like in Babette's Feast, you don't see it. It's kind of all done off screen, and then they just kind of throw them in
actually,
baskets.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
I'm
Yeah.
assuming
point.
it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like
And
in
Andrei
shit,
Rublev, I mean, that horse gets shot in the neck on screen.
well,
Yeah, doesn't
it's-
Haneke also like kill like a pig in the first like 5 minutes of Benny's video?
Oh yeah, that too. Shit.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I think that
Who
was
knows?
a dummy. Actually, I don't think that was
Okay.
real.
Yeah,
Well, in a
Hanukkah's known
way-
for faking.
in a
faking things.
way, it can be justified by some directors if the animal is food, but like
Yeah.
yeah,
Turtles
in a
do
way,
count, I guess.
yeah, but it's a turtle, and like that's just fucked
It
up.
was.
I
screwed
mean,
up.
I
won't
assume
agree
they
with that.
bought it
It's
already,
already
like
a
that.
Similar issue
it's
if it was like
already a
shark
thin
fin soup
line.
or some shit.
The
Yeah.
second you show an animal getting hurt on screen in any movie, there's always going to be those people who are like, God, I hate this. And I'm not
Definitely.
saying that that's
Yeah.
unreasonable because yeah, I guess like, yeah, don't hurt animals. Like if you're going to show that in your movie, like don't actually do it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: there are movies that I love that do show actual animals being hurt on screen, and that's not the reason why I love the movie. And even then, like that scene is always like, oh, that kind of sucks. Why would he do that? But it's not like it takes
Yeah.
away from the bigger picture of the film for
Yeah.
me.
Well,
It's
the thing
like,
is,
yeah.
in Babette's Feast, it's not unnecessary. There are some films where it is just blatantly unnecessary. Like
Yeah,
Cannibal
like Babette's Feast, it's not
Well,
unnecessary.
I don't think it's unnecessary in this movie at all. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
That's
No,
part
no.
of what I'm trying to say.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
You could
Yeah,
make
it's
an argument.
in Babette's Feast, but in shit like Walkabout, that was just blatant, like animal.
Oh yeah, that shit was. Oh, that was bad. Yeah, that was really bad.
Like kangaroos, it's fucked up, and like
Yeah,
y-
I did
you-
not like that movie at all.
No, it was bad. And then like shit with Cannibal Holocaust too, that they just kill things, just to be shocking. And I kind of feel the same way about pink flamingos, but
Yeah.
with Babette's Feast, it's justified because it's cuisine, it's French, like
Yeah,
you know,
there is a
it's-
point to be had because I think it does show like the luxurious and expensive nature of like the dinner itself and how she
Yeah.
had to get all these different ingredients to make this one dinner, which at the time, if you did
True.
have all of that money, it would take that much because it was expensive to make,
Exactly.
food of that
Right.
nature. So
shows how capitalists just eat anything.
I agree that I guess in Pink Flamingos it's really unnecessary, but I don't know. There's a part of me that's kind of like, you know what? At least John Waters fucking owned up to it. Like, and it,
Yeah, not like
at least
Bellatar.
at least he went up front and said, yeah, I fucking killed a chicken, and then we ate it. Like, it's like, yeah, obviously that's fucking like, don't do that, but at the same time, it's like at least you were honest about it. There are like other directors who blatantly do abuse animals, and then they're not honest about it. And I'm not just talking about Bellatar. There are other directors out there.
yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. It's like if you own up to it, if you're like honest about it, I feel like that's better than just lying about it. And in this movie, they don't even show it on screen, so it's like maybe that turtle didn't actually fucking die. I don't know.
I assume
Like,
they just bought it, dead already.
yeah, they probably just bought turtle meat. Like,
Not because of the scene where the turtle fucking moves.
Well, yeah, that could be like a
It could have been a
stunt
different
turtle.
turtle.
Yeah, stunt
Shit.
turtle. Actor
So-
turtle.
I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
you guys probably remember this, but there's the water buffalo, I think it is in Apocalypse Now, that's killed.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
scene is
that-
fucking like intense.
That's hard to watch.
Oh
too.
yeah.
that is hard to watch, yeah. But again, it's like
But-
I don't know. I don't find it to be entirely problematic.
That archival footage that Francis Ford Coppola got, like when he was exploring the tribe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I heard from a source somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, I did hear something about that.
Yeah, it wasn't
Huh.
actually organized by Coppola himself. It was archival footage, supposedly.
So a
Doesn't
buffalo died. He just didn't kill it.
Yeah, exactly.
doesn't like
Instead.
Cannibal Holocaust have something like that too? Animal abuse.
Okay,
or
that
some
shit
movie
is
like
okay.
that?
That shit's blatant. That's where I can't forgive it because I watched like
Right.
half of that movie a long time ago, and that was like blatant. Like, okay, they're just killing animals for the sake of
Yeah,
killing
that one
animals.
is pretty
They're not doing that
notorious. Yeah.
shit. They're not doing that shit for like the sake of the movie. And I'm not saying that other movies do it for the sake of the movie. I'm not gonna sit here and defend Tarkovsky for shooting a horse in the neck, but I'm not gonna say. But I'm not gonna say that I guess there wasn't a point to it. I don't know. It's fucking weird when this conversation comes up because
Yeah.
I hate how it's tackled a lot. Because a lot of people are like, "Oh, if you like this part, if you like this movie, then you're supporting animal abuse." It's like that's not at all what I fucking said at all. But okay, it's like a black and white thing, and it's like there has to be a bit of a gray area for it because sometimes, fucking whatever, it happened. You know, you can't fucking prevent it. You know, it fucking happened. A horse got shot in the neck. Oh fucking well. It
But
probably
when you put it into perspective, they probably strategically pick out animals that have that are like ill or
Yeah, probably have like cancer or something.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
assume
Yeah.
so.
That too, and it's like I think there was a story behind the horse in Andrei Rublev where it was actually being sold to a horse meat market or something.
Oh my
like,
god.
Yeah, it was something like that. I don't know. I remember hearing something like that. So it's like I don't know. I don't
Oh,
get
yeah,
like I
okay, so
don't
I
give a
just
shit
found
about
out.
this argument enough.
Yeah, I just saw on the trivia. It said the crew acquired the horse from a slaughterhouse where it was going to be shot the next day. Yeah, there we go.
Ah.
It was going to be killed
Okay,
anyway.
so yeah, I mean, I just
Sucks,
can't.
but,
I just
yeah.
can't for the life of me present this argument in black and white because it goes against what I stand for. Because there's always two sides to this argument, you know.
Yeah.
You can't just say that like if you like this movie then you must like the fact that they abused an animal. It's like they didn't. I don't know. That's
It's
not
always
a
on a
good way to
case by
approach this
case
argument.
basis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just
Yeah.
one thing.
It's not. Yeah, there's never one answer to this argument. Like, obviously, abuse of animals is terrible. Don't fucking do it. But here's what happens. It fucking happened. So it happened. Then what do you do? You can't just say, "Oh, you like the movie? That makes you a bad person." It's like, yeah, cool. I love Chinatown. That doesn't mean I like Roman Polanski. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Tater,
I
don't
know.
you like watching Willem Dafoe come blood, right? That's like
Ah,
what you.
fuck you. Fuck you. Don't bring that shit into this. Don't bring
Willem
Antichrist
Dafoe's
into this.
confusingly large penis. As
Bruh.
far as
Hey,
how
hey,
you
hey,
put it.
hey! I'm just saying. Von Trier definitely got jealous. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he
Probably.
was. He was
I'm
jealous.
just saying. Von Trier saw Willem's cock and was like, "Well, shit, I'm using a prosthetic because there's no way that is realistic. You are lying."
So
That's actually true. That's the reason he used a prosthetic because Von Trier said there's no way that's realistic.
Yep.
So
How
let's
fucking
talk
based.
about another
Shit.
standout scene in Babette's feast, which is the dream sequence, and it was pretty wild, wasn't it? It's like
Yeah, it's trippy as fuck.
kind of
It
out
was
of
too short.
nowhere.
It was too short. It was like, it was great, but it was very abrupt. Like, it
It
kind
did
of.
kind
True.
of come out of nowhere for me. It
Yeah.
was really weird at first because I was like, shit, where the fuck is this coming from? It kind of
Yeah.
again, it sort of grew on me over time, but even then, I'm kind of confused about it. I don't really know how to feel.
I wasn't confused about it. I understood that it was the village, I forgot their names, but it was one of the girls' like nightmare, like because it's like new shit, isn't it? Because they're villagers,
Mm-hmm.
they haven't come across this culture yet.
Right.
But it didn't. I don't know. It wasn't very convincing. As much as I loved it, like as much as I loved that scene, it wasn't
Yeah.
very convincing because it was too short, and there was
Yeah.
there was only like two cuts in the whole thing.
Yeah,
And, like,
the thing is,
one of them was just Babette fucking handing her a drink or some shit.
yeah, I don't mind like the idea of a dream sequence, but the thing for me, it's like it's such like a whiplash in terms of like the filmmaking, because like throughout the entire movie, it's like, oh, this could be like made any day, but like that dream sequence
Yeah.
kind of like took me out of it for a bit and reminded me that this was made in the 80s, and like it kind of had that like kind of almost like giallo feel to it in some sense, And it was really strange, but it kind of grew
Yeah.
on me. It did kind of grow on me. Like I kind of accept it now, but it does feel like a standout scene in the entire movie. Not that it's like bad or anything, but it's just it's there.
It's very
It
out of
was
place.
odd. It was really odd. That's
Yeah.
all.
It doesn't really go because the rest of the film is like as beautiful as it is. It's very dry. It's
Yeah.
like it uses traditional techniques and traditional like lenses.
I will admit it's a cool scene. Like it's not like a bad scene. It's actually kind of visually interesting and sort of adds a little bit of spice. But
It
like
does, yeah.
again, it is sort of like it does come out of nowhere, but even then I'm kind of like, well, I'm actually sort of glad it's there. It does add something to it, you know. I don't know what,
Yeah.
but there's something.
Yeah.
I don't really take an issue with it, mostly because it's a dream sequence. So yeah, because like if
Mhm.
you're gonna do anything that's like very abstract and weird, then in a film that's as literal as Babette's Feast, then you do it
Yeah.
during a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Like you might as well, you know. What do you guys think of the romance between one of the sisters and that soldier?
Oh, I didn't like it at all. That was the main thing that.
Oh, I think
Really?
it's interesting because
I thought I didn't hate it. I thought it was
I,
actually kind of
I
interesting.
really liked how it was presented because obviously she's worried about what her father will think about it, and then she wants to like honor her father, and both the sisters want to honor their father, so they decide not to get married.
Mhm.
And I just found the relationships interesting, like the scene with the opera singer and then the other sister and then the soldier and the other sister. I found all those sequences very interesting because they all serve a purpose, I thought. I could totally
Yeah.
understand why, Seth, like you said, like you didn't like connect with it. Like that makes sense. And because it's kind of bland, but I feel like that's kind of the point because the sisters are very, I guess, conservative, and they just were, I feel like they were just awkward in those sequences because they felt uncomfortable with those people that they didn't know, right?
It was mainly just the character. I didn't like the guy. He was very. I felt like he just came out of nowhere again, like
Right.
most of the characters did, and he just felt. Obviously, he just felt like a massive walking red flag for some reason. And then he's like in the movie like once again, isn't he? Like once as an old guy. Or did
Huh?
I just
Wait, which
Is-
guy?
the singer, the
creepy
Oh, the
singer.
singer. Oh, this.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you're talking about the soldier or the singer.
No,
Yeah,
no,
he
Yeah,
sends
again.
Babette to the
Cool,
house. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, when you put it into more perspective for me, but I don't know. I still just didn't vibe with the character. And like,
No, yeah, I get that.
you could have
It's a
done with
little weird. Like,
yeah, you could have done with a bit more. I don't know, just a bit more screen time. I feel like most of these
Right.
characters are done with more screen time.
I think that's kind of the point. The fact that there's like less screen time because I mean he goes away for like a long time, and I think it's just supposed to represent how it can't work, you know, because there's that distance and there's that time that they just
Mhm.
can't spend together. So it's like that's what I got out of it. I wasn't able to like I didn't love it. I wasn't like a huge fan of the romance, but I think that was kind of the point. You're not supposed to be like, "Oh, these two characters are so amazing together." The point is that they're not. They can't
Yeah,
because
I know
it
that,
just can't work.
Yeah.
You
There's
know?
always like
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say like I do agree with your thoughts on him because I did find him to be like a little bit of a creep in some sorts, like a little bit like uneasy.
It was
And
a
I think
little
that's the
weird.
point. Like it's supposed to be like an uneasy relationship like that. Like it's supposed to add to
Right.
their characters as well. But yeah,
And she's supposed to be like a little more.
innocent, I guess.
She's innocent.
Kind of like naive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also cautious. Like she seemed a bit kind of cautious and closed off when they were.
Yeah, there was a point where I was like, damn, she's like not letting her guard down. That's a smart fucking decision, but like
Yeah.
I just found it interesting how she kind of just never really like opened up to him in that way. She never really
Yeah.
like revealed anything. She
And
was just kinda
she
like,
never really did open up to any of the guys. You know what I mean? Until the meal, and then until everyone starts opening up in the feast sequence, and that's why I feel like the setup to it is so like impactful.
It makes it a bit more dramatic, yeah. It makes the reveal kind of
because
satisfying because you're like seeing this character who's
right,
just closed off from all these people, and then when she's in an environment that like accepts her and she accepts she just sort of pours it all out there, and it's like that's not only is that impactful, but that feels real to me, you know?
Yeah, it does.
Well,
It feels real.
While we're on the topics of romance, what did you guys think of the two old dudes? No, like that old couple that started off by saying like, "Will I be forgiven for the affair that we had?" And then it's never really brought up again. And then they kiss at the end. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do, and what's funny is that I
Yeah.
remember only because you mentioned it, and that probably should tell you how much it really impacted
Alright,
me.
yeah.
I did not remember that until just now.
I didn't
Obviously-
remember. I forgot about that too.
Yeah. Well, obviously, it was minor, but it felt really.
Yeah, but that's
really-
the point.
No, what do you mean? That's the point, though.
Because no, that's the point. That's why it's an issue, because it is minor. Like it doesn't have any real effect on anything. It just kind of feels like there. It doesn't. I don't know. There's nothing there. There was nothing there for me to latch onto. Because again,
Yeah.
I forgot about it. Like I don't.
I forgot about that
Yeah.
too. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
So now
again,
I'm just kind of like, well, shit. What was the point of that?
But yeah, that's kind of why I don't vibe with the writing that much, because everything that whatever that affair was, I didn't give a shit about it in the first place. But then
I guess it's like some points the writing really works, and at other points the writing kind of doesn't work. You know.
yeah, it felt really.
I do think the writing is kind of the weakest. Might be the weakest aspect of the movie. Not to say it's bad, but it is definitely not as strong as everything else.
Yeah, but it's kind of understandable.
I feel like it depends on the scene though, and it depends on the moment. Because like some of it's very well written. I don't know.
Yeah, the film is very much based off of atmosphere as well. Like
It is, yeah. And if you don't connect with the atmosphere and what it's trying to say about community, and you're expecting some film that's like going to go in depth on one character or multiple characters, it doesn't go like super in depth in terms of character, but it kind of tackles the community as a whole as the character. And
It's not about
like,
arcs, you know. It's not about
yeah, it's not
individual
about arcs. It's actually I mean,
I
you
think
could say it is, but
yeah, I think the point of like the whole affair thing and like all these little, I guess, character moments that some side characters had was to I guess I could see it as like them reinforcing the message of like conservatism and like how like this movie's kind of like religious in a sense, because like the movie's about the clashing of those ideals and how one person can easily like bring, I guess, love to somebody they didn't expect to, you know. And that's what that's where I see it. It's mostly kind of a not an overly religious movie, and not overly like, I guess, interpreting one's view and perspective in a way, but it's pretty much bringing the message of embracing pleasure and embracing love and community and sharing with other people, pretty much.
Right. And there's so many like moments too, like not only that little affair, like small bit, but there's like so many little bits like that I think just are kind of just to, I guess, prove that point of like the conservative nature and just kind of like build the community as a whole, you know. Like there's so many small moments with every character. Like there's just small scenes with like that one old guy just eating that like bread soup. Like there's so many small scenes that you could say like are meaningless, but like I found like a deeper meaning to it, you know, and I thought it was pretty impactful.
Yeah. Those guys weren't at the feast though, were they? Like the old guy who was eating bread.
Yeah.
Was he at the feast? Did I miss that?
Like I don't remember.
An issue, but they could have invited him. I mean,
I think that's how those little scenes and moments impact the overall narrative, are just like how the ingredients to the overall cuisine of the dinner is reflected onto them as well. It's like we see Babette getting the fish, gathering all these different ingredients, but that's not really the point. The point is, at the end of the day, the dinner itself between all these different people who want to express how great it is to be, I guess, impacted by one woman. The banter between that scene itself is also pretty, I found it pretty hilarious, where like the general wants to say, oh damn, this is amazing, this food is fucking incredible, but then they're like, no, don't say anything, shut up. I found that pretty hilarious.
And I think that's like one of the big like things that I found that to impact me was just like when we eat dinner, like just the idea of eating dinner with someone and what that really means. Like it's not exactly about the food in terms of like fueling you, like I'm super hungry. Like when you eat dinner and you go out to a restaurant with someone and you are experiencing this food, it's like a time of like community and like friendship and like conversation, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously it's to eat, but like you want the connection with that person, you know? And
Yeah,
I think
I know
that's
exactly
what
what you
the
mean.
movie like I think it really made me think about that like on a deeper level. Like when I go out with like friends or whatever, like am I like
Like me.
yeah, like you, Xander. Am I like taking the time to actually
Regrettably.
like communicate and like talk with the person, or am I just focused on like get the food and go? You know what I mean? Like I don't
No,
know.
like
It
when
made
I
me
go
think
out,
about things like that.
yeah, when I go out, like when I go out with anyone to a restaurant, like usually for me, it's like the food is kind of secondary. I'm just like, you know what? Let's just fucking have a conversation over food. You know, the food is just
Right.
because I need to eat because food keeps me alive. The
Right.
conversation is more like the conversation is like the treat for me. You know, it's like I want to just have a conversation and just like talk about, see how you're doing. It's
Yeah.
like it's not like
Mm-hmm.
I've always been that way. Like every time like even like going to a movie, like it's just like yeah, the movie might be fucking awesome, but like I'm kind of going with somebody to see it with that somebody so that we can maybe talk about the
Talk about
movie
it after.
after. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
you and me, Jacob, literally just did that for Tragedy of Macbeth, which granted wasn't great, but I mean we still talked about it
I
in
saw you
depth.
change your score to a 6 after Aaron changed his score to a
Yeah.
7, so I know you're an Aaron drunk. Just kidding.
I
Nah.
did that because I was a little I actually did feel like I was a little too hard on it. I think it is like at least I
Oh.
think it's a 6.
That was the
It is
correct.
We'll talk about that later. But
Shut
I
up,
think
Seth.
that's the beauty of the movie, that all these people with different perspectives and backgrounds can come together and
Mhm.
feast in unison and connect to each other in a way where
Right.
only one
Yeah.
in this sense it's like Babette is like a messiah in some sorts, sorry, but it's like she was able to kind of reminded
She
me
was
of
able to
that
bring
one
people
Bible
together.
story, yeah, where like Jesus like had like I think like a few fishes and some bread, and then he was able to feed like 500 people with like different views and different ideas than him, and he was just able to do all of these things, and it kind of reminded me
Right.
of that in a sense. But yeah,
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like the whole thing about like being about from different backgrounds and stuff is like it does kind of relate to me with Jacob because it's like we went to high school together and it's like I mean I was a senior and he was a freshman. It's like we didn't the only thing the only reason we knew each other is because we were both in band and like then like once I graduated I guess like we completely forgot the other existed and then all of a sudden he follows me on Letterboxd and he's like, "Yo, you remember me?" And it's like ever since then like we've been talking about movies and like chilling and hanging
nice.
out IRL. It's like it's kind of funny how just one thing sort of brings people back together in that regard, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
like
was really able to get a
how
lot out of that,
I met
that
Seth like
aspect.
at the male stripper club, and he was there, and I was just like,
Hell
dang,
yeah, dude.
Yes.
I remember that. I
yeah,
was
it's
so
definitely
Man fucking highlights there, dude.
the film kind of reminded me of something Ozu would make, like in the way that it kind of
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. I
yeah,
was
but
kind
it's
of reminded of Tokyo Story while watching this a little bit.
like it's one of those. It's just one of those things. It's like it feels like did Ozu die before that movie came out? Or,
I don't know. That's I genuinely don't know.
he did. He died in the '60s. Okay, so it's like it's clearly inspired by like stuff like that because it's all of Ozu's films are about like building a family and like
True.
just bonding. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Just
top.
camaraderie or just being together, like togetherness. Sorry.
And his influences it radiates heavily off of most directors. It really just reminded me of the story, and because there's loads of scenes in that movie where they're and like just conversating and eating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I find that part funny. I find that kind of funny too because Ozu himself was kind of like the characters in this movie. Like he never married and he lived with his mother his entire life. So like he clearly had that sense of like togetherness with his mother. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that until just now. I was looking up Ozu because I just felt like it, but then like I was like, oh shit, for real? And that kind of brings purpose to that. It's always funny when things just connect that way.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Okay. Yeah, Babette's Feast. Awesome movie. I watched it 9 days before Thanksgiving, so that was possibly another reason why
Perfect.
it impacted me. I don't know. It's a good time to watch it. And yeah, it made me it kind of changed the way I look at a lot of things, and I will forever love it for that. And I gave it,
Nice.
and I'm gonna I gave it whatever the grammar is, a 9 out of 10.
A 9.
Nice.
Sorry.
Xander.
Again, it took me a minute, but I think that I've come around on this movie. I'm willing to see it again and maybe give a more solid rating because my rating is a little loose. I think I give it a light 8 again because I just want to keep it loose. Before, like I might like it less, I might like it more. I don't know. So we'll just keep it at just a comfortable light 8. Really love the debate that comes from this movie. I loved this conversation. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you very much, Jacob, and it really did impact me in a way.
Awesome.
Seth.
Yo, okay, so I'm glad I watched it because it was very cultural, and I
I
like
heard
watching
those drumsticks,
things
bro.
that explores. Sorry, I'm
You're good.
fucking around. I love things that are cultural, and I love explorations of different countries and different people and all that kind of shit. Unfortunately, I just found Babette's Face to be more on the forgettable side of those films. It wasn't. There are films like that I prefer, stuff like Coffee and Cigarettes, which I only prefer slightly. It's just more of a comedic tone, which is kind of what I vibe more with, I guess. As beautiful as the film is, as carefully crafted as it is, I just think it could have been. I think if the characters were stronger, and I think if some of the scenes were longer, and just I don't know, I think it could have been a more memorable experience for me. So I give it like a strong 6, light 7.
Viney.
Yes. As I said, it is a lovely experience of a film. I think it's very comfy. I think there is a lot to appreciate about it, and that's just really all I gotta say about it. I just think it's quite digestible, for no pun intended. And I'm gonna give this a strong 7 to light 8. I'd say.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's one that is I would say pretty accessible to anyone. Not overly challenging in, I guess, an abstract way. But it's
It is kind
very
of like a relaxation piece.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice mood piece. It's nice to get soaked into the atmosphere of the movie. It's really good, really great, really nice looking. Definitely recommended to those who haven't seen it, but I don't know, people have probably seen it if you're listening to this. But yeah, it's awesome.
Here's hoping, because we just spoiled the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, this is kind of a hard movie to spoil, but still.
Yeah, it's
We
it's
pretty
one of
much
those.
went all the way through it, so yeah.
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 But yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Pretty good. Pretty great.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
Xander,
You
go
can't
ahead.
Onto the blind rec. It's not actually a blind rec because we've actually all seen this, surprisingly
Ooh.
enough. But for me especially, it's been a while. It's been a long while, and sadly, Bob could not be here with us today, so he decided to task me to give the rec because he told me what it was, and I gotta say, I'm fairly excited. Not only is it from one of my favorite directors, who's directed some of my favorite movies, one of which is even in the top 10, but I find this director to always make movies that I can talk about for a long time, and this one
Okay, bro,
I
get
just
to the
haven't
point.
seen in a long time. Shut up. I will drag this out as long as I can. You know, I was born in the long. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So the movie we have is a 2013 film by Paul Thomas Anderson, The Master,
Let's
starring
fucking
Joaquin Phoenix,
go.
starring
Oh, yeah, I think it was
Joaquin Phoenix,
2012.
2012.
and the late
yeah.
or 2012, whatever, and the late Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Nice.
Dang, I'm
Honestly, I
excited
thought
for
you were
that.
gonna
Let's
say
go.
Inherent Vice. I was like, oh shit.
I was just like, oh
No,
no.
I didn't want to.
Nice.
I didn't. Well, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh shit!
Alrighty, nice. The Master. Watch
The
it
Master.
before the next episode. Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, released in 2012. Check it out. Thanks for watching once again, and thank
then,
you for joining us in the new year. Happy New Year.
Welcome
Forgot
to
to mention.
2022. So far, it's very average.
Fuck you, it's January.
I know.
Alrighty,
Fuck
guys.
me, it's January. When?
Peace out.